welcome to Oneflow's onboarding webinar. My name is Emma and I work with customer onboarding at Oneflow. This is the agenda for today, so I'm going to start to talk a little bit about Oneflow, who we are and what you can expect from us. After that, I will dive into a demo environment where I will show you how you can set up your personal settings, how to send a contract for signing, and also how to find your contracts within the archive. After that, I will show you how you can contact the support at Oneflow. And last but not least, I will dive into a more advanced demo environment where I will show you more on how you can set up your account. I will talk a little bit about our extensions like signing methods and integrations. I will show you what a workspace is and how you can use it, and also how to invite your colleagues to the platform. And last but not least, how to create a contract template. So we are a Swedish company founded in 2012, and earlier this year we got publicly listed, which is of course really exciting. Of course, this means that we are working really hard on making our platform even better, which also means that we are hiring a lot of people right now. So today we are over 100 employees in 7 different countries, but we have customers in over 25 countries as of today. We consider ourselves as the complete platform for the future of all contracts, since e-signing is basically just a part of the whole process, since we work with both pre-sign and also post-sign as well, since we have an archive system in Oneflow, which I will show you soon. This means as a customer, you can use Oneflow for your entire organization, so it doesn't really matter in what department you work in. So again, it doesn't matter if you work in sales, HR, legal, finance, and so on, because in Oneflow, you have the possibility to divide these different departments in what we call workspaces. And workspaces is Oneflow's way of organizing contracts and templates into relevant categories. So this is, of course, something that I will show you later exactly how that works. Of course, we believe it should be easy to sign regardless of the device that you're using. I'm sure that many of us have at some point opened a PDF in a mobile phone, which we can see here to the left. Often you need to zoom in and out, scroll up and down and so on. And this sometimes you need to start all over again because you lose where you are inside of the contract. And this is, of course, something that can be quite annoying. In Oneflow, it's always adapted on the screen or device that you're using. So it doesn't really matter if you open the contract in a mobile phone or a computer or iPad or whatever it might be. But also in Oneflow, you have the possibility to work with HTML, which is basically a way to work live in your contract. So if you need to make a change in the contract, you can do that by live editing. And this is, of course, something I will show you later exactly how that works. This also leads to how important we think it should be that you should work with insight in Oneflow. So you should always be able to see if the counterparty has looked at the document, if it has been modified in any way, maybe if he or she has forwarded to another decision maker or even commented directly inside of the agreement. And this is, again, something I will show you later exactly how that looks. So let's dive into the platform. So when you log into Oneflow, this is what you will see. So this is always the start page where you will see your own dashboard. So here we can see how many pending contracts do I have right now. Here we can see if anything has been signed. Here we can see if anything has been declined. And here we can see if anything is overdue. If we scroll down here, we can see how long it takes from when you have sent your contracts to when you get them signed. And then here to the right, we can see a clear and visual sign rate of how well I'm doing right now. The numbers that we're looking at are always per default set on the last 30 days, which we can see up here. But of course, you can just click here and choose whatever dates you want to see. So you have some pre-set up options here in the bottom, or you can just go back in time and choose whatever dates you want to see and then click on apply. But when you're new in Oneflow, I think that you should head over to the icon that you see in the bottom left corner. So this is the icon with your own initials. And then you should click on My Profile, because here is where you fill in your personal details. So for an example, here's where you fill in your full name, phone number, and your working title. And all of these 3 things will be visible on the contract below your contact information. So I think it can be a good idea to just add your phone number and your working title here, so that the person on the other side always know who they're dealing with and who to reach if they have any questions. You can also add your signature here, because every time you're sending out the contract from Oneflow, a short message will always follow. And in that message, you can have your own signature if you want that. If you need to change email and password, here's where you do that. And then here in the bottom, as you can see, you have the possibility to change the language for the application settings if you prefer another language. So you just click on edit and then fill in the information here. The next tab is called notifications, and that is also good to know that when you are new in Oneflow, all of these notifications are automatically on, which is great because that gives you full control of everything that's happening around your contracts. But if we scroll down here, you can see that we have a lot of different types of notifications here, meaning that as soon as you start sending out contracts from Oneflow, you will start to receive a lot of notifications sent back to you. So therefore, I think it can be a good idea to just go here and read all of these notifications through, and then just toggle the ones that you don't want to see, like that. Moving over to the third tab called message templates, as I already mentioned briefly, is that when you're sending out new contracts from Oneflow, a short message will always follow. And here you have the possibility to set up your own message templates. So you simply don't need to rewrite the same message over and over again. So if you know that you're sending a lot of contracts that basically looks the same, then you can add a message template to add with that contract when you're sending it out. The last tab is called security. So if you want to enable a two-step authentication method for an extra layer of security every time you log into Oneflow, here is where you do that. So just to repeat myself, I'm down here in the bottom left corner. I've clicked on my initials, and then I clicked on my profile. And then here we have these 4 tabs that are personal for each and every one of you. We can have a look at the menu bar that we see here to the left. So first off, we can see here that here we can always see in what workspace I am right now. So if I click here, we can see that we have a drop-down list of every workspace that I have access to. And again, I will talk more about workspace later. The next icon here is called new contract. So this is of course where I will click when I will send a new contract for signing, which I'm gonna do soon. If we click on dashboard, I will come to the dashboard again. So again, this is the start page. The button called contracts is also known as the archive. So here, all of my contracts will be stored. So it doesn't matter if they're in a draft mode, pending, signed, and so on. All of them within this workspace will be collected here. If I have the permission to work with templates in this workspace, this icon will be visible for me as it is right now. So here is basically where I build new templates or edit already existing ones. Here you can see that we have something called address book, and this is something I don't think it needs further explanation more than that here is where your contact information will be stored. But let's click on new contract, the yellow button here. And then we can see here that I have 2 templates that are visible for me. So these are the ones that I can choose from. If I want to upload a PDF and send it for signing, I can click on create blank and then just click on the icon called upload PDF. But today I want to work with an HTML template, so I'm going to choose the one called employment contract English demo. And now soon we can see that we are inside of a draft, which we can see here. So if you're not sure where you are in or in what state you're in, you can always go ahead and see what it says here. So now we can see that I'm inside of a draft. The first thing that I normally do is to set a name for my future document, which I can do up here in the left corner. As you can see here, contract names are not visible to counterparty, so you don't need to worry that the counterpart will go in here and see the name of the contract. So today I'm just gonna name this employment contract, 3rd of November. And this is of course something that I can edit later if I want to. If we're having a look here at the template that I've already created, we can see that this part here that turns green as soon as I hover over it is what we call for a text and image section. So basically here I've uploaded a logo type, I have this heading here, and then I have some other text here. Text and image sections are never editable for a counterpart, so you don't need to worry that the counterpart will go in here and change the information that you have in the text. If you want to work interactive with your counterpart, you need to add this section here that's called form fields. So in this case here, we can see that I have 4 different fields that in this case, I want my future employee to be able to fill in. So I'm going to leave those blank here. Before I continue, I can just let you know that this blue arrow here that indicates that this is a required field, meaning that if this field is not filled in, we won't be able to sign the document later on. So this is a great way to just make sure that you have all of the necessary information that you need to have in a document before signing it. We can keep on scrolling here, and then here we have some more text. So I'm going to leave this, and then here we can see that we have some compensation parts. So here we have the salary and the vacation days. So this is of course something that I as an employer wants to fill in. So therefore on template level, I have made sure that the counterpart won't be able to make any changes here by filling or unboxing this feature here. So we can just have a brief look at the first form field section where I've done the exact opposite, because in this case I want them to be able to edit these field values. So that's the main difference. But I can start filling in the information here, and as you can see I have these blue arrows here, but as soon as I start filling in information, the blue arrow disappears. Same goes here, of course. Then again, we have some more text here, and in the bottom I've uploaded a PDF as an attachment, which of course I can view, or I can download it if I want to. Other than that, I can just go ahead and click on Save Changes. And as you can see here in the bottom, I cannot send this yet because I have missing participants. So this is, of course, something that I need to do now. So in the first tab here, we have something called Participants. And here we have uploaded our company logo, which, of course, you will have your own company logo here. And here it will say the company name where you are working, of course. Here will be the name of the person that has created this contract, and that is of course me, Emma. And here you can also see head of demo and my phone number, and that is something that I've set up in my personal settings earlier, which I did down here. If I want to add a colleague to this contract, I would just click on Add Colleague, choose the colleague in the drop-down list, and then choose whatever role I want him or her to have. But I'm going to skip that part today and just going to add my counterpart. So in this case, this is the person that I want to hire. So I'm going to click here. And the first thing I need to do is to choose if I want to send this to a company or to an individual. And since this is an employment contract, preferably I will send it to an individual. If I've sent a contract to this person before, I can just go ahead and search for them here in the address book. But if it's the first time I'm sending this contract to the person, of course, I need to fill in the required fields that you're seeing here. But I've actually sent a few contracts to this person before. His name is Peter Larsson. So you can see that I can just go ahead and search for Peter here, and then his name appears in this list. So I can just go ahead and click here, and then you see that his information populates into here. Now I need to choose what role I want him to have, meaning what do I want him to do with this contract once he receives it? Do I want him to sign it? Then of course I should choose signatory. Do I want him just to be able to influence the contract in some way, make any changes but not sign it? Then I can choose influencer. And if I just want him to view it, I will choose viewer. So if you're not sure what the different role means, you can just hover over this question mark here, and then you will find a short explanation about the different roles. But today I want them to sign it, so therefore I'm going to choose signatory. As you can see here, of course, you need to choose what sign method you want him to have. So we have standard e-signature. So this is something that all of you already have now when you're new in Oneflow. But as you can see, I also have SMS verification and all of the Nordic countries bank ID, and I also have handwritten signature. And the reason why I have all of these different signing methods is only because as an administrator, I've activated that on my account. So this is something I will show you later on how you can activate it. But today I'm going to choose standard e-signature because I know that all of you have that today. Delivery channel is, of course, important as well, because this is in the way that I want this contract to be delivered. So I can choose from email to SMS or same device. So same device is basically if me and Peter were to be in the same room now and he wants to sign this from my computer, then he can just choose same device. But unfortunately, me and Peter are not in the same room, so therefore I'm going to choose email today. Here we have a two-step authentication method. So if I want to activate that, I can choose by email or SMS. As you can see, save to address book is per default always filled in. So if you don't want your counterpart's information to be saved to the address book, then you need to go ahead and unbox it here. But I'm going to add him to my list. So now we can see that his name appears here in the participant list. And if I want to add more participants, I can just go ahead and click on counterpart here. Before sending it, we can see that we have some additional options here. So the first thing is signing order, and this is a way to decide in which order the participants will receive the invitation. So if I toggle it like that, you can see that a number appears on each participant here. So this is in the order that they will receive this contract once I've clicked on send. We have something called sign later, and this is if you work in sales, for an example, where you're sending sales proposals and client documents, then you can postpone the signing until the document is ready to be signed if you need to negotiate about prices and that kind of things. Before clicking on send, I will just go through the icons that we see up here. So the second tab is called comments. So this is a way for me and Peter now to communicate in this contract. I'm still inside of a draft, so therefore I cannot start sending contracts or comments to him. But as soon as I've clicked on send here, I will be able to communicate with him. And same goes the other way around. Of course, he will be able to communicate with me. The third tab is called audit trail. Again, I'm still inside of a draft, but as soon as I've clicked on send, this will be live. And here I can always go back and see what has happened in the document and when, and of course by who. And this is of course something I'll show you soon. The last tab is called settings. So if I want to make any last minute changes, here is where I will do that. Like for example, change the signing period or download this as a PDF or add a video to it. But I'm happy with this contract now, so I'm gonna click on send. And then here I need to choose what message template I want to work with up here, or just fill in the information that you see here. My signature will always be visible here in this message box. But today I'm gonna choose a message template. So I'm gonna choose the one called English Employment Contract Message Template. And then you can see that the information populates into here. And then I can just click on send. So now we can see that we are in a pending state. So we have gone from draft to pending. This also means that the comment function is now open. So as you can see, the first comment will always be this message that we sent together with the contract. And then here the audit trail is now open. So we can see here, the first thing that has happened is that I created a contract and invited Peter Larsson. And we can see exactly what time this was done. As you can see, I cannot sign this contract yet, and that is only because we have these required fields. So if we head over to Peter's inbox, this is how it will look like for the counterpart. So he will receive this contract here. So here we can see the message title, and then here in this box here, we can see the message that we sent together with this contract. And then Peter can just click on open. And this is how it looks like for the counterpart. So as you can see, it looks quite the same. We have some things that differs, and that is of course that we cannot, or as a counterpart, you won't be able to see the name of the contract, and of course you won't be able to see this menu bar here. But the counterpart will always see that this is a pending contract. They cannot make any changes in this text and image section. I'm trying to click here now, but I cannot make any changes because now I am a counterpart. But since we left these parts open here, the counterpart will be able to fill in the information. So we can start filling in here. Like that. So now if we click on save changes in the bottom right corner, we can see that now we can sign this contract, but of course the counterpart will want to read through all of the document before signing it, of course. So here we can see that we have again more text and image sections. So again, I cannot make any changes here. And then here we have the compensation part, which I locked. So therefore Peter cannot change the information that we're seeing here. In the bottom, we have this attachment, which of course Peter can view. And he can also download it if he wants to. We can have a look to the right of the screen here. And first we can see the participants. So again, Peter can see that the participants are Emma and himself. On the comments here, he can write a comment to me if he has a question about this contract, and under audit trail here, he can always see what has happened and by who. So here we can see exactly what Peter has done so far in this contract. But I think that Peter is quite satisfied with this contract, so he wants to sign it. So therefore he can just go ahead and click on the green button in the bottom right corner called sign. Then this box appears saying that if he signs this contract, it is legally binding. He's also aware of that changes can be made to this contract up until all signatories have signed, and if changes are made, you will have to sign again. In the green box here, it says who you are and that you've read and understood the contract and have the intention to sign it. And since we chose standard e-signature, he will be able to just click here to sign the contract. So if I had chosen, for an example, Swedish bank ID, here is where he would be able to verify before signing this contract. Same goes with handwritten signatures. So if I had chose that for Peter, then he would sign this by handwritten signature here. But he's gonna just click here on sign, and now we can see that his name is green, meaning that he has signed this contract. So if we go back to my view, now we're back in Emma's view again, we can see again, Peter's name is now green, indicates that he has signed this contract. We can see under comments here that Peter has made some updates, and we can see exactly what those updates were by clicking on audit trail here. So here we can see exactly what has happened. And I'm also happy with this contract, so therefore I'm going to click on sign as well. And now we can see that we are the last one to sign this document, and we won't be able to make any changes after you've signed this contract. And this contract will be legally binding after you've pressed sign. In the green box here, it says who you are, from what company you come from, of course, that you're authorized to sign on behalf of the company that you're representing, and also that you have read and understood the contract and have the intention to sign it. And then we can just click on sign myself. And now we can see that we have signed this contract. So both our names are green. It indicates, of course, that we have both signed this contract. We have gone from draft to pending to signed. We cannot make any changes no longer in this contract because now it's a locked document. And as you can see here in the bottom right corner, the sign button is no longer here because we have obviously signed the contract already. The comments function is still open. So if we want to communicate, we can go ahead and do that. So this is always open. And we can see here in the audit trail that this is always here as well. So if we want to go back in time and see exactly what has happened and by who and when and that kind of things, we can always see that. And under the settings here, we can also download this as a PDF if we want to. So this contract is now stored within the Oneflow archive. So if you want to find it in the archive, you just go ahead and click on contracts here in the menu bar to the left. So this is how the archive looks like. So the list that we're seeing here with all of the contract, it's always sorted on creation date, meaning that the latest contract that we created will always be in the top here. So this is, of course, the one called employment contract 3rd of November. The green here indicates that this is a signed document. The blue ones here, that indicates that this is pending contract. So this is not something that has been signed. We can see here, for an example, that in this case, only one participant has signed. And here we can see that he signed with a handwritten signature instead. We can keep on scrolling here, and then we can see that we have something called, we have an orange one, and this means that this is something that is overdue, meaning that the signing period has expired. But of course, we can just click on the 3 dots here and then go to signing period and just prolong it. So if we click on today's date and then confirm, we can see that it now turns blue, meaning that this is a pending contract. So as you can see, we have a lot of contracts here. So we have some gray, and that is a draft. And as you can see, there are a lot of different contracts here. And of course, we want the possibility to filter, which we can do here to the left. So the first thing is that we have some quick filters. If I have the permission to see my colleague's document, I will be able to find their list, a list of their names here. We can also filter on different statuses. Maybe I only want to see the pending contracts that I have right now. We can also filter on insights, of course, on life cycle, the signing order. We have date as well. And then here in the bottom, we have tags. And tags is actually a great way to filter within the archive, I would say. So for an example, since I sent an employment contract just now, I could have one tag called employment contract. I can have another one called maybe November 2022, and a third one maybe saying to what departments I hired to. So if I want to find, let's pretend that we are 1 year ahead and we want to go back in time and see who did we hire in November 2022, I could show all of those tags here and then just match them together, and then only those contracts that have that tag will be visible here. So that is a great way to filter, I would say. You can also just go ahead and search for your contracts here. You can sort them on a different type of list here. And then here you can see that we have import signed contracts. So this is if you have something outside of Oneflow that you want to have imported to this archive. You can just go ahead and click here and then upload your file. As I mentioned earlier, under these 3 dots here, you have different type of settings to do. You can change the name of it. You can move it to another workspace. You can copy it if you want to, link it together with another contract, download this as a PDF, create internal reminder, or delete it. And also, as you can see here in the bottom corner, you see that each and every one of these contracts have their unique ID numbers here. And that is good for you to know that if you run into some error message or something looks very strange in a contract or whatever it might be, and you need help from our support, it is highly appreciated if you just copy this number once you're contacting them, because that will make it so much easier for them to investigate and to see what is wrong with the contract. And speaking of the support, how do you contact them? So in the menu bar here, we have an icon with a question mark and it says help here. So if I click here, we can see that this widget shows up. So this is a widget for our help center. So here you can just go ahead and search for different kind of articles and guidelines. So let's pretend that you have a question about message templates, and you can just search for it here, and then you will find a lot of articles related to that. So here is a place where you can always go and search for information. And if you cannot find what you're looking for, you can just go ahead and click on need help here in the bottom, and then just fill in your information here. Of course, a description of your problem or the issue that you might have, preferably take a screenshot, and then just send it to our support, and then they will get back to you ASAP. So this was the first part of this webinar. So the last part is more for administrators in Oneflow. So if you know by now that you will only work as a user in Oneflow, it's perfectly fine to leave. But of course, everyone is more than welcome to listen to this part as well. So if you are an administrator, you will have this icon here in the bottom left corner called admin. So we can click here and then we'll come to this page. So in the first tab here, we will find users. So basically here's where you can find all of the users that you have in your account. So in my demo account right now, we have Anna, we have Emilio, we have myself, Emma, we have Lisa, and we have Olof here. Here we can see what user type they are, meaning if they are a user or if they are an administrator. So in this case, I am the only administrator in this account, meaning that I am the only one that will have this button here. As an administrator, you can see when your users were last active, you can see what access they have, and here you can see if they have enabled a two-step authentication method when they're logging into Oneflow. So remember, that is something that you did on your own profile here. On actions here, you can see some different kind of settings. Like for an example, we have something called deactivate. So in this case, let's pretend that Anna Svensson here, she's going on a maternity leave or she's going to retirement or whatever it might be. And she's not going to log into Oneflow anymore. You can simply deactivate her license, meaning that she won't be able to log into Oneflow anymore, but we will free up her seat in order for us to invite another colleague of ours. If you want to invite more users, you just click here and follow the steps. And I'm inside of a demo account right now, so it looks a little bit different for me from what it does to you, but you will have another button here saying that you can buy more seats if you want to. And then here you have a text saying how many seats you have in total and how many you have free. Moving over to groups. So this is a great way to organize access to your contracts and templates by adding users into different groups. If we move over to roles, this is workspace roles, because as I mentioned earlier, in Oneflow, you have the possibility to divide your different departments in different workspaces, and then you can also assign different types of roles. So Oneflow offers a powerful yet easy to use role and permission system. So this will allow you to grant and restrict the level of permissions given to users in a workspace. So for an example, a user may have permissions to create contracts in one workspace, but they can only manage templates in another workspace, for an example. So this is easily achieved in Oneflow. So as we can see here, we have different kind of roles already set up for you. I'm not going to talk in detail about every single one of them, but we can talk about manager, because this is the top role. So this is the role that will give you access to see and do everything in a workspace. So as you can see here, it has 21 out of 21 permissions. We can have a look at contributors. So this is a role that only has 11 out of 21 permissions. So this is basically a role that is perfect for if you work in sales, for an example, because this role here will allow you to create contracts, of course, to click on this button here. It will also allow you to look at the dashboard to see your own statistics. It will also allow you to go inside of the archive and administrate your own contracts, but you won't be able to make any templates, because preferably a sales rep shouldn't be able to make their own templates. They should only work with the templates that's already in your workspace, for an example. So if you want to read more about these different roles, you can just click on the name of it and go to the tab called permissions. And here we can see exactly what is able or what this role is able to do, for an example. So here we can see that this role can access their own contracts, but they cannot access other contracts. But as an administrator, you actually have the power to edit this role if you want to. So you can just click on edit here, and maybe you want this person to have access to other contracts. Then you just toggle it like that. Yes, so if you want to create new roles, you can go ahead and do that here, and then just choose whatever you want it, the name of it to be. We can move over to workspace here, because workspaces is one of those way of organizing contracts and templates into relevant categories. So you can think of it like different sub accounts into which you can put your contracts. And the good thing is that every workspace has its own contract and template archive and also address book. So here in my demo account, we can see all of the workspaces that I have. So I have one called demo, I have HR Europe, HR Nordic, old stuff, sales, and workspace test. On type here, we can see what kind of type it is. Is it an HR workspace, or is it a sales, for an example? We can also add a data retention on each and every one of the workspaces if we want to, which I've only done here in the bottom. So here we can see in this workspace, I have made sure that the drafts will be deleted after 50 days and the overdue after 100 and that kind of things. So if you want a data retention policy, you can activate that, and that is something I will show you soon. You can also brand your different workspaces. So this is more if you have different daughter or sister companies where you have your own logotype and your own registration number. And this is, of course, something I'll show you as well. Here you can see what it contains, meaning how many contracts and how many templates do you have in this workspace right now. Here you can see who has access to it. And then here we can see that we have an action button. So for example, if I click here, we can grant user access. So if I click here now, we can choose a user. It's only Olof in my case here that doesn't have permissions. So I choose his name, and then I choose whatever role I want him to have. And then I can click on confirm, meaning that he will be able to enter this workspace. If I want to act data retention and branding, I just click on the name of the workspace. And then here we can see that first thing, we have some details, meaning we can change the name and the description here. We can also see who has access here. So for an example here, we can see that we have Anna, she's a contributor, and Emilio and myself are managers, for an example. We can also grant user access from here if we want to. If we wanted to add branding, we just click here and then we activate branding. So here we have the possibility to write a different company name and a registration number, and of course, upload the right logotype. Data retention, if we wanted to activate that, here is why we do that. So now I'm going to repeat myself. So I'm down here in the bottom left corner. I've clicked on admin. We have talked about users. We have talked about groups, roles. And the last thing I did was to click on workspaces. And then I clicked on the name of the workspace that I wanted to make any changes in. So then we can see that we have these 4 tabs here, which are only personal for this workspace. Moving over to the last tab here, that is called account. Here we have a more account relatable settings. So if I want to have the same branding for the whole account, meaning that it doesn't matter from what workspace I send a contract, I can add that here. So here, of course, you will fill in your company name, your registration number, and of course, upload your right logotype. Moving over to tags, remember, this is something that I talked about once we were inside of the archive. So this is a great way to filter, I would say. So as you can see here, as an administrator, you are the only one that can create tags, but of course your users in the account can use them. Moving over to extensions. So if you want to connect Oneflow together with maybe a CRM system or an HR system, here is where you will go. So let's pretend that you are connecting Adoca together with Oneflow. You need to head over to the help center here in the menu bar, search for Adoca, and then you can just go ahead and read the article where you will find a guide on how to set the integration up. Electronic IDs, as I mentioned, earlier when I sent a contract to Peter Larsson, I had the possibility to choose from different signing methods, and electronic IDs was one of them. So if I want that to be visible on the contract, I need to activate that here, and then also, of course, I need to activate what kind of bank ID I want to use. Same goes with handwritten signature. So this is actually a new feature that we just launched this week. So if you want to try it out, you can just go ahead and activate it here and yeah, again, try it out. We also have SMS because that is, again, a signing method, but also a delivery channel. So if you want that activated, you need to activate it here. The audit log, as an administrator, you can always go here and see what has happened in your account. This is something that is stored for 18 months. So here we can see exactly what has happened. So in this case here, we can see that this user, meaning myself, I have deleted some templates here from this workspace, from this IP address, and this was done 2 days ago. And here you can, of course, filter on different users. So maybe you only want to see what Anna Svensson has done. So here we can see exactly that what she has done. So she has also deleted a few contracts and templates. The last tab here is called data management. So if you for some reason want to export your entire account, here is where you will click. That means that all of your contracts from each and every one of your workspace will be exported to your email. So the last thing I'm going to show you now is to create a template. So I'm going to click on the icon called templates here. So here you can see all of the different templates that I have in my workspace. So you can see there's quite many, but remember when I clicked on new contract earlier, I only had 2 templates showing here, and that is only because these are the only ones that I've activated in my library here. So if I want to activate more, I just toggle them here like that. So now we can see that the next time I click here, we can see that we have different kind of templates showing. Here we have a template library. So here I think that you should head over to find some inspiration. This guide here is very good, I would say. So here you can find a lot of different information about how you can build the templates and exactly what way. But I'm going to show you quite briefly now. So I'm going to click on the yellow button here called Create Template. So the first thing I need to choose now is to, of course, will I upload only a PDF or will I work with HTML? So PDF is a locked image basically, so you won't be able to make any changes within the PDF. But if I want to work with live editing, for an example, I need to work with HTML, meaning I need to click here and add content. The different sections that we can use is text and image. We have video. So this is a moving video that you can add inside of your templates. Actually a really cool feature. We have product tables. So this is maybe if you work in sales and you want to sort the products that you're selling in a nice looking table. We can work with form fields. We can work with duration, meaning that you can add a life cycle to your contracts if you want to. You can also upload a PDF from here, but you can have that PDF as an attachment if you want to. Product summation is basically if you have worked with many different product tables and you want to sum up all of those different products into one. But I'm going to show you how text and image look. So therefore, I'm going to click here and then add a text and image. So this is the first section of this contract. So, this template. So here I have the possibility to add text and images of different kinds. So for an example, let's pretend that this should be an employment contract for sales, maybe. Then I can just highlight it. I can add a different title. Maybe I want it to be centered. I will have another color here. So here you can see that you can choose from different kind of things here in the editor. Here and the three dots here, we can find different settings as well. So maybe if you want to insert an image, you can go ahead and do that. So maybe you want to add your logo type or a header or a footer or just an image. You can upload here and just place it wherever you want it to be. So remember, text and image sections, they are never editable for a counterpart. So this is only something that you and your colleagues will be able to edit. If you want to add a new section, you just click on either the plus sign above or below the section that you already have built. So next time, maybe I want to add a form field. Then I click on add field, and per default, as you can see, we have 2 columns that we can work with. But by clicking on the cogwheel here to the right of the section, we can work with up to 4 different columns. So if you want to edit a field, we just click on it here. And here we will write the name of the field. We can work with different types. I'm going to show all of them soon. A placeholder looks like this, and then we can have a description below. If we want to make this a required field, we just click here and then we can click on save. So this is how it can look like. So we have the name of the field here. We have this placeholder here, which of course will disappear as soon as I start filling in information here. And then we have this description below. The required field is shown by this blue arrow here. So if I write some information here, we can see that both the placeholder and the blue arrow disappear. Next time, maybe I want to work with a bigger text box. So I'm going to choose text here on type and click on save. And now we can see that we have a bigger text box here where we can fill in more information. Next time, maybe I want to work with the drop down. So I can write my values like that and then click on save. And now we see that we have this drop down box here with different options. Next time, maybe I want to work with a checkbox. And then it looks like this, where I can basically just choose yes or no, for an example. And then we have something called dates. So next time I click here, this calendar will show where I can basically just choose a date, and then it looks like this. If I want to work with more fields within the same section, I will click on this yellow plus sign instead of here, because if I click here, I will work with a new section. But if I want to work within the same section, I will click here instead. And now I can see that we have more fields here. The last thing I can show you here is also that you have the possibility to merge columns. So if you want to merge all 4 of them like that, you can see that you have a long box instead. You can also change the size of it. So if you want it to be smaller, for an example, you can go ahead and do that. And then you can just work with as many rows as you want. You can, of course, move them around like that just by dragging and dropping them. And if you want to delete a row, you just click on the trash can here. On this cogwheel icon here to the right of the section, you can always make a few edits. Like for an example, if you don't want the counterpart to be able to edit these field values later on, you can just go ahead and do like that. So now it's locked for counterparts. If you want to work with more sections, again, you just click here, choose whatever section you want to have. So maybe this time you will work with an attachment. Next time you maybe want to have more text. And the next time, maybe you want to have form fields, for an example. So here you can see how it looks like when you're working with different sections. And of course, these are something that you can just move around like that. So if you want to have another order, you can just go ahead and do like that. And don't forget to click on Save Template Changes once in a while, because we don't have an auto save within the template editor. So therefore, it's good to just remember to click there once in a while. And then here we can see that we have some settings attached to this template. So for an example, if we had an attachment that we want to require a signature on, we can just click on it like that. Signing period is per default always set on 14 days, but of course this is something that you can change on template level. So you just click here and choose if you want to have more or less. You can download this as a PDF if you're curious to see how it looks like as a PDF, and you can also add a video to it. Here we have some defaults, like for an example, counterpart type. Remember earlier when I sent a contract to Peter, I had to choose if I wanted to send it to a company or to an individual. And here I could have chosen individual instead to make it a little bit more effective for me once I hit that stage on the templates or in the contract. Delivery channel, of course, you can choose that here as well. You can also choose sign method. Maybe you always want your employment contract for sales to be signed with Swedish Bank ID, for an example, then you can choose that here. Same goes with two-step authentication method. If you want that on this template, you can add that here. And also here in the bottom, we have creator role. So this is the person that has created this contract. What will they do? Will they sign it? Will they influence it or just organize it? So all of these things here, none of these things are forced, meaning that all of these things are editable once you hit a draft mode, but this is just a way to make your work a little bit more efficient while working in Oneflow. So yeah, this was everything I had for this webinar. So if you have any questions, you can just write them in that Q&A box, and I will stay for a few more minutes and answer them. And I want to thank you so much for listening today, for you who needs to leave. Thank you.